Hello all you good folks in the VC. I'm new to the VC. This is the first posting I've made and it's in response to Rob Walker, who's posed the questions for 2022 looking back at 2021. So as I say, I'm new to this. My handle's PC31. It's already called a dirty one. We all know where that comes from. So, favourite album purchased in 2021. Great thing about collecting vinyl is things pop up that you don't expect, and I tend to be more focused on guitar-based bands and artists. But last year an album popped up for me which I think is absolutely fantastic, and I've played it, and I'm going to see the guy next year on tour, and it's Gary Numan, The Intruder. An absolutely wonderful album. There's some classic tracks on there. It's absolutely super production on the album. I use Blake sleeves. So I'm not sure how they're going to respond to the light. They look great face to face, but might have to work on the lighting. But Intruder by Gary Numan, absolutely fantastic album. Recommend. An album from the first artist you ever saw. Well, the first band I ever saw was, looked it up, April 23rd, 1975. I was a very young lad and I was taken to it by a member of the family, and it's I saw Slade at the Southampton Gaumont, 1975, and on that tour I think Slade in Flame the film had just come out, because on the tour they played a lot of tracks from the Slade in Flame album, and so there we are. Wonderful. Noddy Holder and the boys. I still love spinning Slade. Fantastic. First gig, 1975. Third question, album by a duo. Some of these questions are really great actually, because they get you really looking through your collection and having a think. But I guess this one was quite obvious because I really like a lot of the stuff which Nick Cave and Warren Ellis do. And their album last year, which is a decent album. I don't think it's a wonderful album. I think they've done a lot better. But album by a duo. So last year, Nick Cave, Warren Ellis, and I saw them at a strange venue for them, the King's Theatre in Portsmouth in Southsea, which is quite a tiny venue for them to play, but they were really good. Carnage. An album in shrink. I tend to keep most of my albums in shrink, but open the sides up. But this was an album which is very relevant at the moment this weekend. It's Black Star, which came out in obviously 8th of January 2016. And I bought the album just on say black vinyl and played it. But at the same sort of time, I managed to get hold of a clear vinyl copy, which I think was a very limited edition. So because I already had the black vinyl one, I've actually kept this one in shrink. Yeah, fantastic album, but this is the one I've actually kept, a rare one that I've kept completely sealed at the side as well. Black Star, David Bowie, 2016. And Bowie would have been, as we know, 75 yesterday on the 8th of January. Concept album. Well, I guess over the years, in my eyes, the masters of concept albums have been Mr. Townsend and Mr. Waters. But what I've done is, the one I've been playing a lot because I got the box set fairly recently, is The Who's Sellout. So this is a copy of that I got this year. And this is a great one because LP number 1, the actual vinyl is in Odorono red, and LP number 2 is in the baked bean orange vinyl. So fantastic. Really great album, concept album. I remember Townsend saying that it was obviously all deliberate, that they were putting ads in, etc., and they were hoping to get freebies. And they did a song, a little clip about Jaguars, and they got no Jaguars from the manufacturer, but they did one about baked beans, and they ended up with tins and tins and tins of free baked beans. So it didn't work too well, but fantastic album, really good. Album not played yet. As I say, I really like Nick Cave, and one of his incarnations is the Grinderman, which he also does with Warren Ellis and with other musicians as well, which kind of slides back to the birthday party days a little bit. And this is Grinderman 1 on green vinyl, which I got quite a few years ago, but I think about 2 years ago now. I think it was about 2 years ago, and never played it. Got the album out, Shrink, etc., but I've just never got around to playing it. So I must rectify that. Grinderman, Nick Cave, Warren Ellis, and the gang. Artists that you've discovered in 2021. One artist that I discovered, which I knew nothing about them at all, is a band from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I think they moved to New York, and that's where they do all their recording. But they formed, I think, about 1999. But I bought one of their albums last year, and it's The National. So it's actually The National, and this particular album is called High Violet. It's a triple album, and it's a really good album. The lead vocalist is a baritone, coincidentally, like Nick Cave, but it's a good, interesting album. It's good. This will appear with another one of the questions as well later on, but I shall keep you in suspenders and not tell you what that is yet. Live album. Lots and lots of great live albums in the collection, but one of my favourite artists over the years is Joe Strummer. And an album I picked up quite a while ago, it was a record store day, was Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros at the Acton Town Hall. And the gig was on Friday, 15th November 2002, Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros, and I really love the 3 albums that he did with the Mescaleros, especially Streetcore, his last album, which was released after his death, Joe Strummer. And it's an absolutely fantastic album. But the great thing about this is it's a really well-recorded live album. And at the end of the gig, for the first time in years and years and years, Mick Jones comes on stage impromptu, and he joins Joe for Bank Robber, White Riot, and London's Burning. But it's a really fantastic, high-energy live album, which I play many, many times. Got kind of the white labels on it. But that, I think, was a record store day. There was lots of bootlegs of that around, but that was actually a record store day release. Album from a different continent. Recurring theme here, because one of the artists I really like is Warren Ellis, the Australian Warren Ellis. And he has done quite a few soundtracks with Nick Cave. This is an album I picked up, and it's a Warren Ellis solo one, film track, This Train I Ride. And it's a very ambient type of album, one that you can put on and really kind of chill out to. And quite simply, the film was all about some young women who hop freight trains and they just jump and go all over the States. And this album's about that, as I say, quite ambient. It's a really great album, I think. I've played it a lot. I really enjoy it. This Train I Ride, Warren Ellis. Australian Warren Ellis, which is why I used it for album from a different continent. Album with price sticker on jacket. I've gone for the wonderful Combat Rock, The Clash. The Clash's penultimate album, the last real Clash album, 1982. And the price sticker there, £3.99. And that was purchased from Subway Records in Portsmouth, my home city. Fantastic album, Combat Rock. And it was produced by The Clash and the wonderful Glyn Johns, who obviously pops up everywhere on so many great albums. Punk or new wave album. The wonderful Killing Joke. Absolutely love Killing Joke, and their first album is Killing Joke album with so many fantastic tracks, War Dance, Requiem, etc. Absolutely brilliant album, play it over and over again. I also love their third album, Revelations, but this is a real go-to. And Malicious Damage. Wonderful, Killing Joke. Saw them in Brighton many years ago. Superb gig. Box set. Well, a lot of box sets this year actually, and I could go for the really obvious ones. Let It Be, fantastic box set, absolutely wonderful. All Things Must Pass, George Harrison, and obviously the Lennon ones as well. So I've got all those and play them, fantastic. But one that's really, really close to my heart, originally from 1975, and it's my favourite album of Black Sabbath, Sabotage. It's the first Black Sabbath album which really, really got me into them. And this is a 4 LP box set. 1975, Sabotage originally came out, and this is remastered. It's got a whole show in there from 1975 from the Sabotage tour, and a fantastic book as well. Really, really good box set. As I say, it could have been a choice of many, but Sabotage jumped from the shelves as being the one. Box set, 2021. Album with a sporting theme. Oh, Rob, this was a difficult one. But then, inspiration. I thought The Wedding Present, the one with George Best on the front, is a fantastic album. Really good, and a great, great cover. But this jumped out and I thought, no, I've got to show the VC this one. 1970, England World Cup squad, Mexico World Cup. Again, when I was a wee lad, I think my parents bought me this one. And it's got the huge hit single, which was on top of the pops at the time, Back Home, with Bobby Moore, Bobby Charlton, Jeff Hurst, all the England team singing it, Nobby Stiles, etc. And I haven't looked at this one for decades, but I pulled it out especially for this video, and it all opens up. When you open up the whole thing, you see how England actually got to the World Cup, and all the players and fantastic things. They're not real signatures, they're printed signatures that were actually on all the records. So fantastic. And Blake Sleeves haven't invented a round one yet, so it's got a square one. England World Cup football team, 1970, Mexico. That's my album with a sporting theme. Jazz album. I know a lot of the VC have got really great jazz collections and jazz records in their collections. I just don't do jazz. I just don't get it. I don't enjoy it. The only one I've got, which I think is remotely close, but any true jazz people will say it's not remotely close, but Sting's first solo album, The Dream of the Blue Turtles, which has got a lot of jazz musicians on it. Brendan Marsalis and Omar Hakim, drummer, are on this one. And in places, it sounds very jazz-based to me. And as a consequence, I don't like it very much. Bought it when it came out, and I saw Sting on a solo tour at the time. I think it was in Brighton, but there was lots of long jazz solos in the actual show, which, as I say, I didn't really enjoy. Brilliant musicianship, absolutely fantastic, but just not my cup of tea. But that's the closest my collection probably gets to jazz. The best of. Again, we've all got lots and lots of bests ofs in our collection, but one which I've played a lot this year is The Fall. 458, 489, or the A-sides. And there's some, this is a real must-have. If you like The Fall, this is a real must-fall album for me. I mean, my highlights, Big New Prince, absolutely stunning track. Luciani, Victoria, the Kinks' Victoria, they do a really good version of that. But, this is a terrific album. And this one is white vinyl as well. I love coloured vinyl. I'm picking up a lot of coloured vinyl at the moment, and this is one of them. Great album. an album with at least 8 people on the jacket. So Sgt. Pepper's would be the go-to, but I thought, no, let's go for something a bit different. And I've gone for, not real people, but they're droids, but I've gone for the Ruts, the Crack, as in Babylon is Burning. Really fantastic album. I love the Ruts. I think I've got just got their first and second album, but there's your 8 people plus. I haven't counted them, but there's definitely over 8. The Ruts, the Crack. Soundtrack. So return to Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. I've got lots of Nick Cave, Warren Ellis soundtracks. Some of them are absolutely fantastic. This for me is the best one. And again, this is white vinyl. But West of Memphis, you know, come from the film, documentary I think it was, which is about a guy who they're trying to prove innocent through the documentary. I haven't seen the documentary, but they're trying to prove innocent because he murdered 3 boys or something. But as I say, haven't seen the documentary, don't know the film, but the soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal go-to. I've played this so many times. High recommend. If you like, say, ambient type music that you can, you know, kick back and put the feet up and listen and drift away, this is a terrific album. West of Memphis, Nick Cave, Warren Ellis. Brilliant. Show some VCLT. I haven't got any. Obviously, friends, relatives have bought records of things for me, but that's probably cheated, so I'm not going to show that. So, new boy to the VC, so let's hope, but none at the moment, none to report. Album with no writing on the jacket. So the band which instantly come to mind are Floyd and Dark Side, for me, obviously the most obvious. But I thought I'd do something a bit different. Endless River. The texture of this album as well is absolutely fantastic. It's very, very tactile. You can't stop rubbing it. But Endless River, really lovely album. My favourite Floyd member is Roger Waters, and this is obviously post Roger Waters, but it's a really good album. There we go. 7-inch single. Don't tend to buy many singles. I've got lots from the past, lots of punk singles, lots of Clash, Sex Pistols, Jam, Elvis Costello, etc., etc. But and Beatles as well, lots of Beatles ones. But kind of don't tend to pick up singles. But one I did pick up last year, which was Record Store Day, Black Vinyl, was the remaster of My Sweet Lord by George Harrison. And isn't it a pity on the back, which is one of my favourite George Harrison tracks, actually. I think it's a fantastic track. But it's really good. It's a great remaster. So that's the 7-inch single. Coloured vinyl, going to return to The National, the band from Cincinnati, which is a triple album, but the actual album, the National album, is called High Violet, and all of the 3 records in the set are this absolutely stunning purple, violet. And of course, the very nature of pressing records are all slightly different, but they're all this lovely colour. So I've got lots of splatter vinyls now, coloured vinyls, but I think this one is pretty gorgeous. My wife wants to put it on the wall, but I won't let her. And the final one on my first VC outing is an album from 1982, and Revelations, Killing Joke could have been it, Combat Rock, Clash could have been it, but one of my real favourite bands from the 80s, who I still really love, are The Sound. And they're a band which are post-punk new wave. Absolutely love The Sound. The lead man, Adrian Borland, who suffered with depression, unfortunately committed suicide. I think it's about 1999, and it's just so sad because he produced such fantastic stuff for The Sound and solo, and I've got a lot of his solo stuff as well. But I saw them several times back in the early 80s, and saw them with the Concert Angels, another band I really like. But this is from the album from 1982, All Four Down, their fifth studio album. And with sound, people who follow the sound, there probably other albums that they pick ahead of this, but for me, this is just a classic album of theirs with some phenomenal tracks on. So, album from 1982. That's the 22 questions. So I hope you enjoyed that, folks. I shall return again soon. Now I've jumped in, and thanks for listening. PC31 out. Cheerio. Thank you.